Are you ready to unlock the secrets of fire alarm where you can take control of safety, compliance, and your business success? Whether you're a property manager ensuring safety or a building owner looking for a peace of mind, or you may just be that entrepreneur looking to get into the fire alarm industry, this video is your ultimate blueprint. From understanding the key components of a fire alarm system to mastering the installation, and also I'll show you how you can get your license and even start your own fire alarm company. The Fire Alarm Expert has you covered. In this Fire Alarm Blueprint Masterclass, I'm going to go over 10 steps to where you can master any fire alarm system that they have on the market today. So if you're ready to become a fire alarm expert, let's get straight into it.
So here we have our presentation for an introduction to fire alarm systems. And by the end of this, you're going to understand the basic functions of a fire alarm system and its components. This is a poll station, so let's get straight into this fire alarm presentation. So the agenda for today is we're going to go over what is a fire alarm system, the introduction of a fire alarm system, identify the basic components of a fire alarm system. We're going to identify the different types of fire alarm systems. I want you to understand the different functions of a fire alarm system. Also, the difference between inputs and output modules. We're going to go over some fire alarm installations. We're going to go over fire alarm and maintenance and prevention. We're going to talk about central station. And finally, I'm going to show you how you can get your alarm license to start your own alarm company. So what is a fire alarm system? A fire alarm system is a network of devices and components designed to detect, alert, and respond to fire-related emergencies in a building or facility. Its primary purpose is to protect lives, property, and assets by providing early warning and facilitating a quick response to fire hazards. The actual main purpose of a fire alarm system is to really protect the property. Yes, it's early annunciation, so you can hear the horns and strobes. You can see the strobes and hear the horns go off. However, it's there so the building doesn't burn down. So once a fire starts in its incipient stage and the smoke starts to gather up in a particular area, smoke detectors should go off in time before a fire gets out of control. That's the real reason of a fire alarm system. Yes, it's there to protect your life and enunciate when there's an emergency, but its true purpose is to make sure that building don't burn down. So the key functions of a fire alarm system is detection. Identifies fire conditions such as smoke, heat, flame, sensors, and detectors. Notification. Alerts occupants and emergency responders through audible alarms, visual signals, or voice announcements. Control. Activates safety systems like fire suppression, HVAC shutdown, or door release mechanism. Monitoring. Tracks the status of the system and communicates with remote monitoring service or the fire department, which means your central station. My name is Anthony Richardson, and I've been in the business ever since 1999. Been a local 3 technician for very long time before I started my business. I work with a lot of the larger companies, a lot of large manufacturers, and manufacturing the Edwards panels, the Simplex panels, the Notified panels, the Siemens panels, the Firelight panels, you name it, the Maricuso panels, any kind of panel. It doesn't matter what fire alarm panel or system it is out there. I've worked on it, I've touched it, I've been around, and I just want to share my knowledge and wealth and gifts you as a fire alarm expert to make you guys out there the same as well. Because when I was coming up, it wasn't nobody around really that I could ask questions. I had no idea what relay was, what resistors was, so it was a tough time, a 10-year time for me to learn all I needed to learn within fire alarm. But the good thing is, me working with these large corporations, I was able to go through training. So anytime they had any type of training, whether it be card access, cameras, more specifically fire alarm, never said no. So I went to a lot of these trainings. That's where I got my knowledge from. That's where I got my skill set from. So if they're offering training, make sure you go and don't be afraid, because you're not going to fail it. Just pay attention to what you got to do. And if you're having trouble, there's people around that can help you. So as a fire alarm expert, I always say you call tech support, you read that manual, stop calling these other technicians. All you got to do is call tech support and believe in yourself. All right, so let's keep this moving. So these are the fire alarm system components. This right here is a kitty or Kidder ES4 fire alarm control panel. So if you see at the top right, we have some input or indicating devices. These are the devices that will give the fire alarm system a signal in order for the bottom right, the output or notification devices, to sound in an alarm. So the smoke detectors, the pull stations, the input modules, the heat detectors, smoke detectors, those types of things are all input modules. So those will input a signal into the fire alarm control panel. The CPU will identify that signal as an alarm. It will then send out the output signal for the NAC circuits, right, that you see at the bottom. Rather it be a sounder-based NAC, if you have a combination device as a smoke CO, has some horn strobes, or if you have strobe onlys. Furthermore, at the bottom, they have 2 remote enunciators, and in the middle is a LED, like a graphic enunciator, to where you can have a graphic map and actually identify with the areas that the remote locators or the remote enunciators are just a secondary panel for the fire alarm system. So if you don't want that big gray or red panel in your lobby, you will put a small enunciator in your lobby, more aesthetics. And at the bottom is a 16 conventional IDC NAC that you can connect to this. So if you retrofit in a system that's still working with zones and still have a zone system, you can throw this addressable / IDC NAC module into this addressable system, and you control those conventional devices. On the left side, we have more input and output devices, but the far left is a booster panel. So if you need more power to drive the NAC circuits, or to drive the strobes, or to drive the horns, you will put additional power, which is a booster amplifier. So here we have fire alarm control panel inputs and outputs. A fire alarm system is an essential safety mechanism designed to detect and respond to fire emergencies by alerting building occupants and initiating emergency responses. It is a network of interconnected components that work together to ensure early detection, effective communication, and safety during potential fire hazards. So, fire alarm system pretty much makes up, far left is a fire alarm control panel, and in the middle we have some initiating devices, like we said before, some smoke detectors, heat detectors, pull stations, and modules. And then we also have some output devices that are horn strobes, relay modules, things that's going to turn on or activate. Next, the fire alarm control panel. You will see this red. Generally will not see a gray panel, but you can use gray, but normally 99.99% of the time it will be a red fire alarm control panel. So the fire alarm control panel, or FACP, is your main hub. It's the brains of the entire system. This is where the main power supply is at. This is where the SLC circuit, or signaling line circuit, is at. These are where your NAC circuits are. This is where you can connect your remote enunciators. You have a few onboard additional relays, your 24-volt power supply. All of these things is what's connected to your fire alarm control panel, in addition to where you could do some front panel programming. Not on all systems, but for this particular system, you could do front panel programming right from the display. Or if you have your laptop and 232 card, plug straight in, make some changes. This is a typical initiating devices. If you see here on the picture screen, a lot of these smokes, heats will also look the same, but what you want to pay attention to, if you can see where my mouse is at, that's indicating of a regular smoke detector. If this was a heat detector, it wouldn't be here. The grill would be a little bit different. You will have lines on the bases to indicate a heat detector. It would be like a gray line around the kitty sign to indicate also a heat detector. So quick indications to differentiate a smoke from a heat detector is how they actually design the two different types of detectors. So now we have a smoke detector that works on obscuration. So there's a laser light, or light, photo beam, whatever you want to call it, that's inside of this chamber. It's looking at a mirror. So when enough obscuration, smoke, dirt, or anything gets up in the chamber and that light becomes dim, without the sake of all the tech explanation, it's a 2% obscuration, and it depends on how much obscuration over a determined amount of time this detector will go off. So if 50% obscuration happens over 1 or 2 seconds, then this smoke detector will go into alarm. So the more light that's blocked within inside of the chamber will either make your device go into maintenance alert, false alarm, or be an alarm a day. Now, how heat detectors work, there are 2 types of heat detectors. We have rate of rise heat detector, which is, it starts at 195 degrees, and what rate of rise means, sort of like the obscuration level within a smoke detector, depending on how hot temperature gets over a predetermined amount of time, that detector will go off into alarm. And then we have fixed smoke detectors that are just fixed at 135 degrees. So if you have some areas that fluctuate in heat that go up and down with heat, a radarized heat detector will be ideal for that particular location because heat is moving up and down. And if it's at a fixed rate and it goes above that, that heat detector will then go into alarm. You will have to replace that because that particular heat detector is one-time use. They both are one-time use once it goes into alarm. If you're using the conventional style heat detector, the addressable heat detector will keep going into alarm. Or if it will be stuck into alarm, and you may have to replace it because it got melted and there's no way for it to clear because the contacts are shorted. Here we have input initiating devices. This right here is an MCT2, CT1. MCT will connect to like a secondary motherboard that's out in the field. A GSA or a CT1 will go right into a single gang or a double gang electrical box. These modules connect to non-intelligent devices like water flow switches or tamper switches. That's what you would use these modules for. There are other things out there that you can use input modules for, but for the most part, we connect these to sprinkler or anything that we want to monitor. It could be a fan status we want to monitor or a damper status that we want to monitor. So these are what we will put to monitor the status of operations. Now we have here a pull station. Here we have the M278 and the M270, both pull stations, but there are two different types of technologies. The GSA M278 is a dual action pull station. What that means is it takes two steps in order for you to activate this one pull station. Where it says lift the handle, that's one step, and then you pull down, that's the second step. So now for the GSA M270s, these are what we usually use in New York City. It'll have a white stripe that'll go through it if it's connected to the central station, but we would normally use the metal one, single action pull station. You see, you don't have to pull anything up. All you have to do is just pull down, and the pull station goes directly into alarm. So you have dual action and single action pull stations. Here's a duct detector. How a duct detector works is there are two sampling tubes that are inside that connect. If you can see where my mouse is at, one tube will go here and the other tube will go here. We will mount that onto the HVAC duct unit. So if it's less than 3 feet, the sampling tube will go to the back of that duct unit. And if it's more than 36 inches, up to 5 feet, then we will have to protrude 1 or 2 inches outside of that duct unit with that whole entire sampling unit or that sampling tube. Now, depending on the airflow, they will give you which way the air flow, or you can pretty much determine which way the air is flowing. You will have to point the holes in the direction of the airflow, so when the air is flowing through the ducts, it'll pick up any dirt, particles, or anything like that, and then it will go through that sampling tube that will get into this chamber here, and once this chamber, similar to a smoke detector, gets filled up with enough obscuration, then this duct detector will go into alarm, and where it says alarm here, this light will be solid red. So if a duct detector is an alarm, then that means this guy right here has too much dirt inside this chamber. And you can just unlock, unscrew these 4 screws, pull this right out. It's easy. You can pull it out real easy and then just clean off the grill and see if it'll reset after that. What are the different types of fire alarm systems? We have addressable systems and we have conventional systems. Now, out there in the market, there's still some conventional systems. I still even run into McCullough systems. That's the old hardwired 120 systems I used to connect directly to the fire department. So you have to be savvy even with the new stuff and also the old stuff because you may come across a conventional system. So a conventional system just works in zones. If there's 3 zones or 4 zones on a system, each area is identified as a zone. Each device type is also identified as a zone. So all the smokes could be 30 on one zone. All the pull stations also could be 30 on one zone. So if you have an issue, you would have to start breaking down the loop to find exactly where that problem is at or find the LED that's lit, especially if it's a smoke detector. But an addressable system gives you the exact location, the exact address of exactly where the device is located. 3rd floor, electrical closet, south wing. So you wouldn't get that with a conventional system. So here's a breakdown of a conventional alarm system. Like I said, zones are identified by either device type or area. So we have a zone 1 for the pull stations, zone 2 for the smoke detectors, and we have a NAC circuits are not technically on it. Initiating zone is on an indicating zone. It still works as an output. So the output zone or NAC 1 or NAC 2, whichever NAC you have it landed on, that's where your output circuits will go. In an addressable system, as you can see the wiring for the loop, it runs out to each device and then it stops at the last device, same as the NAC circuit. The NAC circuit pretty much don't change from conventional to addressable, just how many you can put in the circuit. So some of the fire alarm output functions, we have elevator recall. So some of the ways an elevator will recall would be that smoke detector you see in front of the elevator. If there's a water flow alarm in your building, if there is a duct detector alarm in the building, if any device inside the elevator machine room go off, and if you have any PIC devices or any elevator shaft devices, these are the types of devices that will shut down an elevator. An area smoke detector, unless told by the AHJ, the authority having jurisdiction, will not recall the elevator. It will, in fact, shut the fans down, release the doors, and pressurize the stairs. However, the elevator lobby smoke detector's specific purpose is to recall the elevator. And fan shutdown happens when any area smoke detector, any area elevator lobby smoke detector will shut the fan down unless prescribed by the AHJ. But any other device type other than any automatic device type functions like elevator recall, except area smokes, fan shutdown, stair pressurization, and door release. Manual release also will release the doors, but if you do a pull station, which is a manual release, it will not start the fans, it will not pressurize the stairs or shut the fans down, or recall the elevators, but it will release the door. So manual activation, door release. Automatic activation, it does more functions than a manual activation. So the only caveat is the elevator lobby smoke detector. That specific purpose is to bring the elevator to the first floor, on alternate floor. So this is explaining the purpose of elevator recall. Like I said before, if the elevator's on the second floor, let's say, and the fire is on the third floor, and that elevator lobby smoke detector goes off, that elevator will close and immediately go down to the first floor. And vice versa, if they have an alternate elevator recall, if the fire is on the first floor, then that elevator will either go to the second floor or to the sub-cellar or to the cellar if there's a lower floor. But generally, it's going off the first floor. Same as door release. You want door release for free egress. Door release to the stairs so you can get through the stairs and get out of the building. You want door release for that main front entry exit doors. You don't need door release for the IT room unless you wouldn't need to get into the IT room or any sensitive rooms. You wouldn't need to release those doors. You would only need to release the doors that allow free egress. Also with fan shutdown, like I said, the elevator lobby smokes will shut the fan down. Area smoke will shut the fan down. Water flow will shut the fan down. Tamper switch is a supervisory signal, so that will not shut the fan down. However, most alarm signals, I want to say most because we have pull stations and we have an ANSOL system, which an ANSOL system will shut the fans down. But a pull station in most cases will not shut the fans down. If you have CO detectors, the CO detector generally will not shut the fans down. But if the AHJ say they want the CO detectors to shut the fans down, they will do that. So you want to shut the fans down to stop the circulation of smoke. And also, when it comes to stair pressurization, if there's smoke throughout the building and we want you to leave the building through the stairs, we have to pressurize the stairs. We have to get the smoke out of the stairs. So there are large exhaust fans at the top of the stairs that's actually pulling all of the smoke from the bottom floor all the way to the top out of the building, so that way we can have the stairway clear of any smoke and you're able to walk free and not coughing or feel any of this inhalation of smoke, so that way you can get out the building as quickly as possible. That's why the evacuation plan, that's like a sidebar. Evacuation plan is very, very important, not just to have, but to actually know it, to practice it, to actually know it. So that way in the event of emergency, it's second nature. You're not trying to figure out what to do. It's second nature. So what are the differences between an input and an output device? An input device are components that detect a signal, fire-related condition, and sends that information to the fire alarm control panel. Like I said before, for pull station, you activate a pull station that's causing a short to the module, and then that module will then take that short and give the information as I am in alarm. So when a smoke detector goes into alarm, that obscuration inside the chamber, it will essentially short out like the module, and then the CPU will then send that information and say, hey, I am in alarm. That is what input devices do. It triggers the alarm so that way we could have output events or action events that happen after the alarm is triggered. And that's what the output devices do. Control relays, when an alarm, specific type alarm goes off, the control relay will activate to what? What we're going to do with control relays. You should already know by now. We're going to open up the doors. We're going to shut down the fans. We're going to bring the elevators down, elevator recall. So when the horns and strobes, we got the horns and strobes flashing. Sometimes we may have a speaker announcement, or automated announcement, or someone physically talking through the microphones. But in most cases, it's horns and strobes, a tempo 3 type of sound. And then we have NAC output modules. These extend the NAC circuit. So if you have an additional wing in a building that you install new devices in, and the fire alarm panel is in the basement and the work is on the 14th floor, it wouldn't make sense to run a wire from the basement to the 14th floor for 4 additional horn strobes, where you could just put a NAC output module in, connect it to the addressable loop, and then from there add your 4 additional horns and strobes. So the fire alarm installation process is fairly simple. It's actually broken down into 6 steps. The first step is like the planning phase. And what the planning phase is, the engineer will then design the type of fire alarm system according to the ASJ or according to NFPA 72, the minimum requirements for that specific building or classification, or that classification type, I want to say. Then once we design the fire alarm system according to the NFPA, we then submit that to the fire department. And when we move to step 2, submitting that to the fire department, then that goes through tech management, and then it also goes through plan review. So now this person is actually looking at the plans. He's making sure, okay, this specific building type, let's say if it's retail. So if it's retail, that means it's mercantile. Okay, so now I'm looking at this specific space that's retail that I know they're going to be selling clothes. I'm going to be looking if they have adequate coverage for this specific application. And if it's good, I'll approve it with my stamp. If it's not good, I'm going to give them a rejection and then tell them why it's not good. Whatever they have to correct, maybe you need protection, maybe I want another smoke detector here, maybe use the wrong wires, whatever the case may be, the plant examiner will write down whatever the recommendations are. You, as the engineer, correct them and resubmit for approval. Once you answer your objections and you get your approval, then and only then you are able to start fire alarm installation. I know out there a lot of customers want to get their installation done right away, but you have to follow the process. You need to have a permit in order to start installing the fire alarm system, because if anything happens, then that's on you, Mr. Fire Alarm Guy. So make sure you have approved plans before you run any wire, drill any hole, or mount any conduit. You have to express that to the customer that you need approved drawings before you start any drawings. You don't want to be liable for anything. So once you get the approval, you can start the installation. Once you get the installation going, get it done, at that point within how I do it is by mid-project, usually in the beginning it's already done, but by mid-project I have the information for the central stations. By that time, I met with the owners, I can get some signatures, I can let them know that they're getting central station, who I'm going to be building, and things of that nature. Then I create the central station account. So by the end of the installation, the central station is active, the system is installed 100%, tested, not even approved yet, but 100% tested to the central station. I have a report that every device has been tested. That once that is done, we will request for the final inspection. And once we get the final inspection, inspector come out, do his due diligence, his or her due diligence like we did, verify that the system works all the way through to central station. They're getting the correct signals. They're sending out the trucks when they need to send it out. And once the inspector deems that everything is okay, you get your letter of recommendation and your fire alarm approval. We've done this about 40 times since we have been in business for the past 10 years. And when it comes to getting systems approved, and what customers don't understand, that this is not a quick process. It takes at least 6 to 8 weeks. Once you get your design right, the engineers say, hey, I'm good, and we do that submission. That's almost 2 months before they even get back to us, before they let us know if we messed up or not. So a lot of times the customers don't even know that. So before you even start to run any wires, it may be even 3 or 4 months before you get into that building. So make them aware of that. I'm going to go into some maintenance, and I want to give you 3 reasons why you have to maintain your system properly. If you don't, there's going to be high fines for the fire department. They're going to be coming out there. They're not going to like it. They're going to be sending you to court. These fines are very, very expensive. So you don't want to give the fire department free money unless they need it. So 3 reasons why you want to maintain your fire alarm system: because it protects lives and ensures occupant safety. So now if you have systems out there, I've met techs that put resistors on end of the line of certain things, and now we have an area that's disabled and not working, and in the event of something goes off in that area, there's no annunciation, there's no detection, there's no anything. So now that's a liable. Oh my God. You don't want to do that. Don't be that guy. If you can't fix it, let them know. Just be honest. You don't know how to fix it. You have to escalate this up to another technician who can come out here and fix it. I'm sorry. Whatever the case may be, don't sit there and think you can fix stuff and put in resistors, acting like you're fixing it. You're really not fixing. Just be honest with yourself. You'll learn. It took me 10 years. So, you know what I mean? Take your time with it. Also, when you comply with legal requirements, you get low insurance break, especially if you got a working fire alarm system, and it prevents property damages and minimize business loss. Like I said, if the detection goes off before a blaze of fire get out and the fire department get there before fire's out of control, then the property owner or manager or whomever owns that building save a lot more money from rebuilding the whole entire wing or fixing a few walls with some patch and paint. It's a big difference. So we're going to get into the central station, and I want to explain the purpose of a central station. The purpose of a central station is 24/7 monitoring. It's going to monitor the system for ground faults, open, shorts, closed, AC loss, battery loss, alarms, troubles, supervisories, loop faults, any and everything. It also gives you immediate notification, especially with the central stations we work with. You can either get email, text, they can call you. However you want the communication, you can get that. And it also enhances your safety because you have somebody that's sitting there while you're sleeping. We're up 24/7 protecting your building. So if anything happened, we're going to get the authorities out there to either put the fire out or whatever we need to do to make sure that we ensure safety to that particular property. Now we're going to get into how you get your fire alarm license. So I want to explain to you the importance of getting your fire alarm license. Unlicensed people out there, they're all out there, and they're out there, doing work without a license. If you get caught, that's like $10,000 per fine. You don't want to go through that. So you get your fire alarm license or partner with somebody who have their license. Like you can have the business, and the person who has the license can qualify the business. Or if you have your license and you don't have a business, you can qualify another business. But it's a very lucrative business. You can make money in this business. You just have to understand how to put things together and how to manage your own business. So obtaining your fire alarm license is essential for any professional working in the fire alarm industry. It demonstrates expertise, ensure compliance with regulations, and enable individuals or companies to legally install, maintain, and service fire alarm systems. So it's very, very important to be an expert in whatever field you're in. So if you could be flipping burgers, working in McDonald's, make sure you get that food handling paperwork. Make sure you get whatever paperwork you need to get to show that you're an expert at whatever it is that you do. So how do you get your license? There's a few steps that you want to take, but I actually broke it down into 3. So you can start off with the Metropolitan Burglar and Fire Alarm Association. There they have an 81-hour course. It's actually like 4 weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, 10, 12 hours each day. Saturday and Sunday. So they go through fire alarm modules, card access modules, access control, safety. So they go through 5 different modules to help you prepare for state exam. Now, the state exam that I took was downtown William Street, and I took that 15 times because of my arrogance. I thought, since I've been in the business 10 years at the time, since I've been in the business for so long, that I was good. I knew everything about fire alarm, and I could take this test with just the information, just from the 81-hour course. I was so naive. I really had to sit back, look in the mirror, slap myself around, study, go back to the 81-hour course, humble myself, go through that book, and that 15th time I had to take it seriously. I don't know what I was thinking about. That arrogance really is no good. It's really a no good neighbor in your life. So leave the arrogance alone. Just keep it with confidence. So once you take the state exam and you pass that, then you can submit your application along with your fingerprints. You can get your fingerprints online or go to the local PD as long as you ain't got no background infractions and you good money. Get your fingerprints, submit your application, and make your payments. And process take about 5-6 months, things like that. Even if you don't pass the test, it's going to take some time. You're going to find out right there, but then you're going to have to wait a few months before you can take the test again. But if you pass it, take you a few months, let's say 5-6 months to get the actual license. And every 2 years, you got to recertify or renew. I want to go over the past 10 years of us being in business. And when I say us, I say Securities. So I've started Securities in 2017. I want to say I started in 2013, but I went active. And what I mean by went active is I opened up my first bank account in 2017. I formed the business actually in 2013, but, being afraid to actually jump off the porch and actually start your business with no know-how, no information, you don't do that. So it just took me some time to actually start my business and actually quit my job, really, to go full-time with the business. But since then, I've gotten myself minority certified, New York State, New York City, DBE, which is a disadvantaged business enterprise that's through the MCA. I went through the SCA Mentor Program, which is the School Construction Authority. That's where they build all the schools. That department is responsible for building all the New York City schools. So all of these programs got me into a place, or gave me that little bit advantage to compete in this market that's winning by larger companies. So how these certification programs work is they say, hey, large company, you got to give 15 to 30% to minority vendors. And what makes it good for a person with a trade, electrician, fire alarm technician, HVAC guy, whatever, plumber, they need those in every building. So these construction companies, or even electrical companies, they search a database. And that database, I'm on that database, and they see, because I keep it updated, they see the type of projects I've did, and they see the amount of money I've made with these projects. Majority of times, I don't even go through a competitive process when it comes to setting my price. How I base my price is the type of work they're doing. Like, if I know it's a $60 million contract, I'm reaching. I'm not going to hold you. I'm reaching. If they say it's too much, then that means I reach too far. If they don't say nothing, I ain't reach enough. But it still be good enough for me, because it's a 5-man, 1-woman, my wife team and whatnot. So it's 5 of us, so it works out for all of us. The pays are high, everybody get high salaries, and it's good to go. So over the past 10 years, building a business up and really learning how to actually conduct business has been the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life. However, what I've learned is you don't have to have the answers. If you just start and keep moving, the answers, questions, what you need to know, what you need to ask, start coming. They just start coming. I can't explain where thoughts come from. I don't think anybody can. However, if you ponder on something long enough, I promise you, you're going to figure it out. I've had my tough times, back rent, not making no money, all those things. Anything you can go through as an entrepreneur, you could survive that. Just don't quit. All right. So I want to say that's my little piece on the past decade of what we've been doing and how we've grown and the things that we've implemented into the business in order to get us where we at today. So a lot of our business come through word of mouth. And now I'm trying to put myself online to take us to the next step. So that's what I'm doing now. What I'm trying to do is consolidate the knowledge that I have, package it up in a way that I can help you do the same thing. Not in 10 years, though. That's what I'm trying to give you all the mistakes that I made. Not in 10 years. I want you to do this a whole lot faster. But the only curve in this, and if you don't have it, will be getting your fire alarm license. But everything else is still business. So you can remove the fire alarm license, take everything that I'm telling you, and just apply a different business on top of it. Also want to introduce you to the fire alarm business blueprint. Now, this is a 9-step course that's going to take you from setting up your business to getting your license, to branding yourself, to what type of insurance you need for your business, to marketing, has credit in there. I'm talking about how I got funding and credit, how you can build your credit and get new credit and things like that. So within this course, it's going to take you from being stuck to unstuck. So even if you do fire alarm, even if you don't do fire alarm, you can sell t-shirts. You can still take this course, remove that license part out of it, and still excel within your life. So look out for the fire alarm business blueprint. We're actually building it as we speak today. I'm building out the course today. So if you're interested, just leave me a comment, or you can join the community from the Facebook group. Just let me know. All right, so Fire Alarm Blueprint, this is presented by the Fire Alarm Expert. So I'm putting my knowledge, piece of paper, packaging it, so that way I can help you get to where you need to go faster than what you're doing now, because I know it's tough. If you want to learn some fire alarm training, you can go to my website. I have a link there where you can go to my fire alarm training program. It's totally free too. So inside the firearm training, what we're going to be doing there is a lot of programming. I want to say the programming that I know, the Edwards programming, the Vista programming, the Kitty programming, the Firelight programming, IO programming. I can't get my hands on Notifier or the MXL. I would show you those as well. But if I could find some training stuff to highlight how you do certain things, I'll put that in the training things as well. I'm also going to be showing you how to install a fire alarm system, the best practices for a fire alarm system. And if you want to also learn security systems like card access, camera systems, burglar alarm systems, I have that there as well. So fire alarm training, go to my website, look for the fire alarm training, and join up. It's free, 100% free. So if you want to follow me on social media, on Instagram, Fire Alarm Expert, Facebook, you can find me at Securities on TikTok. I'm also a fire alarm expert. You can shoot me your questions via email. You can give us a call, or you can visit our website, poke around, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. If you like something on the website, you want to purchase something, you don't want to spend that money right away, hit me up, man. I give you a discount. I give you a nice discount. And if you want to purchase a camera system, we can work something out. All right. Thank you for sitting through this presentation for fire alarm system. So now that you've watched this, you are an expert. You are better than me. You are better than a person who didn't watch this. So when you go to work the next day, you have better information. So it's definitely up to you to do better in your life. Read some more. Educate yourself some more, and I don't mean learning more math. I mean learning who you are. You have to be able to decipher who you are from the next person in order to excel in this life. So my journey's been real. It's only like the first chapter. I still have more chapters to write in this book, and I appreciate you all for listening, watching, however you're receiving this content. And if you have any questions, you can text me, email me, hit the website, talk to the chat bot. Whatever you need to do to reach out and send your questions, I'll do my best to answer them. Appreciate you for watching. Appreciate you for listening. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.